When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Two-Footed Podcast here on EPL Index. Now, before we kick things off today, I just want to share something with everybody. This episode is brought to you by our partners at Skybet. We've teamed up with Skybet because they truly understand what it means to be a fan. Skybet appreciates the length that people go to support their team in all areas, whether you're a match-going fan or otherwise, and there's just no better fit for us right now than a partnership with the good folks at Skybet. So with that said, let's go. What's good, boys and girls? Two-Footed Podcast. Today is Wednesday. It is the 3rd of July, and it's raining. It's raining. Joys. No football today either, which is kind of nice. A little bit of a break. Let's get into what happened yesterday in the European Championships. We had two games, the final two round of 16 games, and the Netherlands finally looked like a real team as they beat Romania 3-0. Cody Gakpo put them one up on 20 minutes, Daniel Malen on 83, and again on 93 gave the scoreline a comprehensive feel. And to be fair to the Netherlands, despite the fact it took them until the 83rd minute to get their second goal, they were really good value for their win. They did dominate the game. They got themselves into a lot of good positions, but then couldn't transition that into a chance. The final ball just let them down too many times. But I did feel like 3-0 was an accurate reflection of what we actually saw in the game. So the Netherlands march on, and my expectation was they would march on to face Austria. And I had wondered aloud, could Austria be Greece of 2004? And the answer was a resounding no, because Austria are out. Beaten 2-1 by Turkey. Merih Demiral opened the scoring on 1 minute. It's an Arda Güler corner. There's a scuffle in the Austrian penalty area as they fail to deal with it. The ball breaks to Demiral and he slams it home. On 59, there's another Arda Güler corner and Demiral rises highest and heads home to make it 2. Austria got one back on 66 minutes. Again, it's from a set piece. This one from Sabitzer, flicked on at the near post. And Gregoric is in acres of space at the back post, and he finishes to give us a really tense and interesting last 25 minutes to the game. I thought the Turks defended very, very well for the most part, but they still relied on their goalkeeper, Mert Koenig, to make 2 brilliant saves. One from an Arnautovic 1v1. Now, we'll come back to Arnautovic. But the other, in stoppage time, it's Baumgartner from a looped ball across, I think by Sabitzer. It's a good header. He heads it down, which is what you're told to do. And this is the best save you're going to see at any international tournament this summer. This was sensational. An absolutely outrageous save from Gunok. Just brilliant. Absolute. How he kept it out, I have no idea. I've watched it back. I can't figure out how he saved it. Like, this is a 35-year-old goalkeeper who came through at Fenerbahce, never made the grade, never established himself as first choice. Went to Bursaspor, spent 2 years there, lost his place as the starting goalkeeper, had to go to Istanbul Besiktas and sort of rebuild himself, did that, then lost his place there, went to Besiktas, was backup to begin with, has now established himself as first choice, and to his credit, turned in an incredible performance. Now, the funny thing is, despite the fact that he's only in recent years at Istanbul and at Besiktas, really making a name for himself, and he was in his late 20s by the time he really started to come into his own. He has won 3 league titles, 3 cups, and 3 Super Cups in Turkey. He was the Turkish goalkeeper of the season in the 18-19 season. Then he won the league title in 1920 with Besiktas. Credit to him. He's been in the team of the season twice. Once with Besiktas, once with Besiktas. He is a good goalkeeper, but he's not someone that you would think of as an elite level goalkeeper. But what a save. What an incredible save. And that Turkish team, they deserve to be moving forward. They really do. Bardakci, the centre-back, excellent. Demirel, very good and got us 2 goals. Kadioglu at left-back, very, very good performance. Very, very strong. Kaan Ayal, anchoring that midfield, thought he was good. No Çalhanoğlu, of course, he was suspended. Ergun Koku played quite well. He'll now miss the next round because he will be suspended. Yildiz and Güler, not their best games, but Güler created both goals. They just found it hard going against an Austrian team that are well organised. But I didn't think Austria really showed up until they got their goal. They weren't at the same level that they've been in the group stage. And a big problem in that team, maybe the big problem, is Arnautovic, who just can't play at this level anymore. He's just not good enough to play international football anymore. And I thought his inclusion hurt the Austrian team. He offers so little. And I know he's the captain, or you think he is the captain, isn't he? Is he the captain and Sabitzer the vice captain? I think that's how, but Sabitzer plays more often, so that's why he wears the armband. But either way, I mean, they would have been better with Patrick Wimmer up front, with Gregoric playing through the middle. Anything but Arnautovic, who just was not good, is not good, hasn't been good in quite a while. 35 years of age and just doesn't offer a whole lot anymore. Now, he did just win Serie A with Inter, but he contributed so little to that. And Bologna improved immensely after he left. Like, he went and spent 3 years playing in China, or 2 and a bit years playing in China, at the end of his prime. Like, he'd done well at West Ham. He was good at Stoke for the last 2 years, not for the first 2 years. He's always been one that flattered to deceive. Like, he's always been that player. Very, very talented, but never consistently performing at a high level, other than, the odd season here or there, but he doesn't put together back-to-back years. And now he's 35. He's not going to. I think Inter have chosen to make the deal permanent, but I don't see it becoming a case where he all of a sudden becomes a vital player for them. I think he'll be lucky to make the bench a lot of weeks at Inter next year. Austria need to figure out who their striker's going to be moving forward. Now, I know they've got Sasa Kalajic, and he had injury problems. They've got Junior Adamu. He had injury problems. It could be one of these two. It could be somebody else. But they've got to figure out who their first-choice striker is going to be, because it can't be him. Not anymore. It just can't be. His international career needs to end after these Euros. They're solid at the back. They work well in midfield. They've got a lot of good players. No great players other than David Alaba, who's obviously not playing at the not playing in this tournament. But they need to figure out who the goal scorer is going to be. If they get that sorted, they're going to be good for a few years. Like some of the players are a bit older. Sabitzer is 30, 31 now. Yeah, he's 30. Lamer must be 28, 27. Stefan Posch is 27. To be fair, this team could be together for a while. Pence is 27 for a goalkeeper. He's still got a long run ahead of him. Danzo's only 25. Leinhardt is 27. Max Wober is 26, so that they can be in place for a while. Mwene is 30, but he doesn't have to be a starter long term. You've got Seavolt is young. Was he 24, 23? Baumgartner is a very, very good player. He's only 24. Wimmer, like I mentioned, is 23. 23. Adumu's 23. Kalasic is 25, 26. Actually, he's about to turn 27. Xaver Schlager missed this tournament. He might be their best midfielder, but he's out with a torn ACL. He's really, really good. So they'll get him back. There's a lot of good players here that can come back into this group and improve it. Marco Friedel's a decent player. Yeah, I think over the next few years, they might become quite a tough team to deal with. And if they can figure it out in attack, I think they'll be a force. Not a big force. They're not going to win anything, but, well, maybe they will. But, yeah, I like this Austrian team. Credit to the Turks, though. On they march, and they take on the Dutch. That should be a really good game. So we have our quarterfinals set on the 5th, which is Friday, in the 5 p.m. kickoff. It'll be Spain against Germany. And then in the 8 p.m. kickoff, it's Portugal against France. Then on Saturday, in the 5 p.m. kickoff, it's England versus Switzerland. And in the 8 p.m., it is Netherlands versus Turkey. So that's all set in stone now. In the Copa America, we had the last games of Group D. Brazil won, Colombia won. Rafinha put Brazil 1-0 up on 12 minutes. Daniel Munoz of Crystal Palace equalised just in the stroke of half-time. In the other game, Costa Rica 2, Paraguay 1. Costa Rica with goals from Calvo and Alcacer winning a game that nobody before the tournament would have thought they would win because Paraguay have some decent players. But as it turns out, Paraguay finished the tournament with 0 points, Costa Rica with 4, Brazil with 5, Colombia with 7. For Costa Rica to get 4 points from a group that had Colombia and Brazil is impressive. It is impressive. Like, even if we might have looked at Costa Rica, Paraguay before the tournament and said, okay, maybe draw. Especially when we saw Paraguay in their opening match against Colombia, give them a decent test. For them to then lose each game, not surprised they lost that one, not surprised they lost the Brazil game, but to lose to Costa Rica was a bit of an upset. But Costa Rica did get a draw with Brazil, which was a great result. So, Group A finishes Argentina, Canada, Chile, and Peru. Group B finishes Venezuela, Ecuador, Mexico, and Jamaica. Group C finishes Uruguay, Panama, United States, and Bolivia. And Group D finishes Colombia, Brazil, Costa Rica, and Paraguay. What that means then is that on July 4th, which is tomorrow, in Houston, Texas, an 8 p.m. local time kickoff. It's a 2 a.m. UK time kickoff. Argentina will take on Ecuador. The following day, at the same time, in Dallas, Texas, Venezuela will meet Canada. Then on Saturday, I think it's a 9 p.m. UK time kickoff, No, because it's mountain time, isn't it? Yeah, mountain time zone is an hour further back. So that's a 10 p.m., I think. I think it's 10 p.m. UK kickoff in Glendale, Arizona. It will be Colombia versus Panama. And then a 3 a.m., I want to say, UK kickoff in the Allegiant Stadium in Vegas, Uruguay versus Brazil. So that should be really, really good. Looking forward to the Argentina-Ecuador game and the Uruguay-Brazil game. I think those are the two that really stand out. But the Venezuela-Canada one is really hard to pick. Really, really hard to pick. Some good players in the Venezuelan squad, but the sum of the individual pieces is better than the individual pieces. For Canada, again, it's a similar type of thing, but they do have Alphonso Davies, they do have Jonathan David, they do have that individual advantage, but I feel like Venezuela, just the way they're playing, like to go through that group the way they did, beating Ecuador, beating Jamaica, beating Mexico and then beating Jamaica, and just looking very composed and in control, I think that's really impressive. There's been great attendance at these games. So in Group A, the first round of games, 70,563,000 now, 43,000. 43,000 in the AT&T Stadium in Dallas is a small crowd, but it's still a big crowd in general. Peru, Canada drew 15,000, but that's a small stadium. Argentina, Chile drew 81,000. Argentina, Peru in Miami drew 65,000. Like, pretty impressive. There's been some games, like Ecuador versus Venezuela in Santa Clara, San Francisco, the 49er Stadium, was 30,000. But that's still a decent crowd. It's just not going to look like a decent crowd in those big stadiums. Ecuador, Jamaica, the same at Allegiant Stadium in Vegas. It sounds like a small... It sounds like a decent crowd, but in those stadiums, it looks like a very small crowd. They probably could have done with a few more smaller stadiums. Like they used Q2 in Austin. They used the Children's... What's it called? What's that Children's Hospital Stadium thing called? You've got Inter-Co Stadium in Orlando. God, what's the name of that one? It's in Children's Mercy Park in Kansas City. Yeah. I'm really enjoying the Copa. Really, really enjoying it. It's been some very good football there. That Colombia-Brazil game was quality. Watched it today. Good game. I think we've got a really good set of quarterfinals. Panama, Colombia is the one that if you're going to skip one, it's probably that one. But the other three, like Argentina should beat Ecuador, but there's some really good players in that Ecuador team. Venezuela, Canada is really hard to pick. And Uruguay, Brazil is really hard to pick. Vinicius Jr. will miss that game. So that's huge. So right now, I think I would pick Argentina, Venezuela, Colombia, and Uruguay to advance. The semifinals are in MetLife in New Jersey and the Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, which will also host the third and fourth place playoff. And then the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami will host the final on July 14th or the morning of July 15th. Like 1 a.m. in the morning for those of us on this side of the pond. Right, back after the break. We're going to talk some championship. Right, welcome back. So as you will have heard at the beginning of the podcast, today's episode is brought to you by Sky Bet. So let's catch up on what's been going on in the Championship, League One and League Two. We are still waiting to hear who Burnley will appoint as their new manager, though reports today suggest that Scotty Two Coats Parker could be the man tasked with bringing Burnley back up. Now, we know that Scott Parker does a decent job in the Championship. He's brought Fulham back up. He's brought Bournemouth back up. He has been a catastrophe at the Premier League level, but in the Championship, he has done quite well. And credit to Burnley, they're being ambitious in terms of how they're going about building their squad, still adding to it, not selling anybody as yet. That may change, but Scott Parker's not an ambitious choice as manager, but he might just be a means to an end. So, anyway, Plymouth, we know, appointed Wayne Rooney. That's a strange one. Sunderland finally got round to making an appointment. Regis Lebris, I'm not sure, who had been at Lorient and oversaw their relegation to the second division in France. It's an odd one. They were linked with they were linked with a couple of others, and this is the decision that they've made. Will Still obviously went to Lens at the end of the year instead of joining Sunderland. It's just, this is an odd appointment for me. Like, maybe he does well. He is quite highly thought of as a youth coach, but he didn't exactly light the world on fire with Lorient. They had a good first 6 months last season, the 22-23 season, and it's pretty much been downhill ever since. But maybe it's Sunderland that goes differently. Hull appointed Tim Walter. He had been at Hamburg. Prior to that, he'd been briefly at Stuttgart, and then he'd been at Holstein Kiel before that. He was sacked by Hamburg in February. He did okay there, but ultimately the job was get them promoted, and he didn't do that. So I'm not really sure you can task it as a success. Prior to that, he was actually doing pretty well with Stuttgart, but only lasted 6 months and they sacked him. I don't know what to make of this appointment. I'm not sure this is better than Liam Rossinier. I'm not sure it's an improvement. Norwich, who sacked David Wagner, brought in Jonas Hoff Torp, the Danish manager who'd been at Nordsjælland. And he'd been at Nordsjælland as a coach for 8 years before getting the manager's job. He had 1 season with Nordsjælland as manager and moves on. He's very highly thought of, but he had a season and a half, really. He did get to a cup final in the half season, but he's very inexperienced. And Norwich is a tough enough job because there is an expectation there. So the only club now without a manager, as things stand, is Burnley. And by the sounds of the reports, it will be sorted in the next couple of days, and it looks like it will be Scott Parker. So, yeah, joy. In League One, then, all the managerial vacancies have been filled. Darrell Clark is in at Barnsley. Tony Mowbray. Chris Davies is in at Birmingham. Michael Duff is in at Huddersfield. And Mark Robinson is in at Burton Albion. Tony Mowbray came back and then retired or resigned because he's still not ready to return. So that's why he was replaced, having stepped down midway through the season to take a break to look after his health. I think there's huge pressure on Birmingham to come straight back up, given the ownership's stated desire is to have them in the Premier League. Given they were on the outside, but looking very much like a team that could challenge for a playoff spot last year before the calamitous decision to bring in Rooney. The ownership were responsible for the relegation, and I think they've got to turn this around quickly and get this team back up into the championship and then see where you go from there. Davies is a first-time manager, but he's been a coach a long, long time. He retired at 19 from playing because he had arthritis in his foot. He'd been in the Reading Academy, went and started his coaching badges, did a degree in sports science, coached at Leicester, went to America, went to New Zealand, and then got a job with Swansea, working under Rodgers, came to Liverpool with Rodgers, went to Reading, worked there. Then he joined Rodgers at Celtic for a couple of years, went with Rodgers to Leicester, and then he was Ange Postecoglou's assistant last season at Tottenham. I'm looking forward to seeing how he does. I think it's certainly an interesting gamble by Birmingham. It's a big job for him, but can he do what we've seen Kieran McKenna do? I mean, it's not outside the realms of possibility. Birmingham are a big club. They'll have money behind them. So it should be exciting. In League Two, again, there is one open manager spot, and that is at Newport County. So Swindon appointed Mark Kennedy, Gillingham appointed Mark Bonner, Morecambe appointed Derek Adams, Cheltenham appointed Michael Flynn, Barrow appointed Stephen Clements, and in what was quite a strange move, Newport and Graham Coughlin parted ways on the 20th of June, which is very, very late for a manager to... maybe he made the decision to step aside. Maybe they pushed for it. I'm not sure, but it was marked as a mutual consent type job. He hadn't done a great job at Newport, truth be told, but it's not exactly a place where many managers have gone and thrived. So they now have an opening, and we'll wait to see how they fill it. In terms of transfers then, in the Championship, thus far, Blackburn have signed Aidan Doherty from Linfield for about £100,000, and they've sold Leopold Wallstead to our house in Denmark for £1 million. Spend £100,000, sold for £1 million. So profit for now. Bristol signed Fally Mayulu, who is a French-Congolese striker from Rapid Vienna for $3.5 million. Thus far, no sales, but Andy King retired. Andreas Weimann and Matty James had their contracts expire. Harvey Wiles-Richards left for Bath City, and Jamie Knight-Labelle was loaned to Crewe, as was Ephraim Yeboah. Burnley have been, like I say, ambitious. So Bailey Peacock Farrell left to join Birmingham for $500,000. And by the way, Birmingham in League Two or in League One, rather, spending $500,000 is notable because you don't see League One teams spend a lot of money. I'll be curious to see what they do. Charlie Taylor left for Southampton on a free. Johan Berg Gudmundsson and Jack Cork had their contracts expire. Jakob Brun-Larsen and Lorenz Signon, their loans ended. As did the loan of Mike Tressor. Burnley have made that permanent. €18 million, £17 million, a lot of money. And then they also spent $12 million on Maxime Esteve. Now, Esteve was really good when he was there last year on loan. I didn't think Tressor was all that good. They also signed Sharandi Sambo, a right back from PSV, on a free. That one was done in like February or March. Darko Sherlinov, Samuel Bastian, CJ Egan-Riley, Wout Weghorst, they all returned to the club after loans. I would expect Weghorst and probably Bastian to move on. Cardiff, they signed nobody so far. They lost Ollie Denham, the centre-back, to Sligo Rovers. Shea Ojo's contract and Romain Sayer's contract expires. Coventry, Jack Rudoni arriving from Huddersfield for $5.5 million, and Lewis Binks arriving from Bologna for $1.5 million. That's a really good signing. Really, really good signing. I like how ambitious they've been in recent years, and they'll probably lose a few players. We know they're losing Callum O'Hare, whose contract expired. Now, it might be possible that they try and extend, that they try and work a new deal. He hasn't signed anywhere else yet. Liam Kelly and Simon Moore both left. No real loss there. Derby, Caden Jackson arriving from Ipswich on a free. Corey Blackett-Taylor arriving from Charlton on a free. Ben Osborne in on a free from Sheffield United is a good one. And Jerry Yates arriving on loan from Swansea. Conor Hourihane left the club to join Barnsley. Martin Waghorn, Dwight Gale, Corey Smith, Joel Wildsmith, and Louis Sibley all leaving at the end of their contracts. Louis Sibley, when he broke through, was expected to be like a really, really good player for them. When it was him and Jason Knight were like the two big midfield talents. It just hasn't worked with Sibley, so I'll be curious to see where he lands next. Hull have signed Ryan Giles from Luton, and that is pretty much their lot. They've sold Ozan Tufan, who was there last year, to Trabzonspor. It's expected that Philigen and Greaves will also leave. They've also lost Carvalho and Morton, who were there on loan from Liverpool. Cyrus Christie, David Robson, Vaughan Oval, Aaron Connolly, and Greg Doherty, all contracts expiring. Adama Traore, not the one we know, the other one, has joined Ahmed SK on a free. Billy Sharp has gone to Doncaster on a free, and Ryan Woods has gone to Exeter on a free. Leeds, Joe Roden in on a permanent deal, and that is their lot. A lot of players coming back off loans, so we'll wait and see what happens with them. Archie Gray is out the door, $35 million to Spurs. Luis Sinisterra, that deal was made permanent during the season but didn't become official until this week. He's gone to Bournemouth, obviously. Mark Roca to Real Betis on a permanent deal. Robin Koch on a free to Eintracht Frankfurt. That's, they paid a decent bit of money for him, but I suppose it is what it is. And Luke Gayling going to Middlesbrough on a free. Cody Drama's contract has expired, as has Ian Poveda. They were two players that were signed very young, and there was high expectations put on them, but nothing came of it. They've loaned Darko Gyabi, who's really talented, to Plymouth, and Sonny Perkins to Leyton Orient. So Leeds have made a substantial profit this summer. Luton haven't signed anybody. They've sold Ross Barkley to Villa. Luke Berry has left for Charlton. Ryan Giles has left for Hull. Dion Pereira has gone on loan to Dagenham. Dan Potts, Fred Onyedinma, Elliot Thorpe and Admiral Musquet, their contracts have expired. Jack Walton has been loaned to Dundee. Middlesbrough, Aidan Morris, central midfielder from Columbus Crew, in the door. Delano Bergzorg, left winger from Mainz, in the door, as well as Luke Ayling. Hayden Coulson has left for Blackpool. Liam Roberts and Paddy McNair saw their contracts expire. Sam Silvera joins Portsmouth on a free. No arrivals at Millwall, but Alex Mitchell is on his way to Charlton. Couple of players, Sean Hutchinson and Bartosz Bialkowski, their contracts have expired. Norwich, Jose Cordoba, the Panamanian? Is that it? Panamanian? A centre-back in from Levski Sofia for just over 3 million. On the way out, Christian Solis, the young Greek winger, has joined Fortuna Dusseldorf. He was there last season on loan. They've made that deal permanent. John McCracken has gone to Dundee on a free. Ben Gibson has joined Stoke on a free. Giannoulis, the Greek left-back. Danny Bath, Sam McCollum, talented left-back. They've all left with no club to sign for yet. Sam McCollum was really promising when he came through at Coventry. For whatever reason, it never clicked with him at Norwich. Sidney van Hooijdonk is going back to Bologna. Going back to Bologna at the end of a loan. Sidney van Hooijdonk. No relation, I assume, to Pierre van Hooijdonk, who was a rather notorious striker. Oh, he is. He is the son of Pierre van Hooijdonk. Oh. Interesting. So he came through at Braga, got a move to Bologna, never quite worked out. Had a really good season with Herenveen, but looks like the loan at Norwich was a bit of a failure. Yeah, 0 goals, 1 assist. Shame. I did like his dad as a player, but he was an absolute headbanger. Arrived at Celtic, scored goals for fun, went to Forest, did really well, then decided he didn't want to be there anymore, went on strike, forced his way out. Only Vitus Arnhem would take him, but he smashed goals in there. Got a move to Benfica, smashed goals in there, didn't want to be there. Went to Feyenoord, banged goals in there. Went to Fenerbahce, banged goals in there. Went to Braga, then finished off with Feyenoord. Really, really talented player. Like, absolutely outstanding. Scored for fun. Once he settled in at Celtic, he joined midway through a season, and he looked completely lost. All arms and legs, but once he settled down, he was absolutely fantastic. I think he was really good at Forest until they wouldn't give him the new contract that he wanted after he helped them get promoted back from the Championship into the Premier League. Went on strike and then just wasn't the same for them. Eventually was sent away. Sidney van Hooijdonk is his son. Right. Oxford signed Peter Chioso from Rotherham. Jamie Cumming from Chelsea on a free. Jacob Knightsbridge from West Ham on a free. 2 young goalkeepers. Will Volks comes in from Sheffield Wednesday on a free. They lose Josh Murphy, which is a shame because he was so important in helping them get promoted. He's gone to Portsmouth. Oisin Smith has joined St Mirren. Billy Bowden, James Henry, Marcus Brown and Steve Seddon out of contract. And Stephen Negru is gone on loan to Salford. Plymouth, they have signed Nathaniel Ogbeta on a free, Darko Gyabi and Mohamed Tijani on loans, and promoted Josh Bernard and Jack Matthews from their academy. Mikel Miller has left to go to Huddersfield, Callum Burton, Oscar Halls, Jack Endicott, all without a club. The big prize for them thus far, but it may not remain that way, worth remembering, it may change, is that they haven't had anyone important taken away from them yet. So we look over the last 2 seasons, and there's been a couple of really vital players here, but the most important of them is Morgan Whittaker, who's been incredible the last 2 seasons. So thus far, they've been able to keep hold of him. They've also still got Ryan Hardy, which is really important. And if they can keep both of them, they'll be in pretty good nick this season. They should. Now, The Rooney factor is, of course, the big issue. Rooney's not a good manager. But if they have Whittaker and they have Hardy, they'll be pretty good in attack. And they'll be able to score goals. You've got Callum Wright there as a decent player as well. Adam Randall's there, he's a decent player. Adam Forshaw's there, formerly of Leeds. Championship's a good level for him. Lewis Gibson is a very, very talented young centre-back who was at Newcastle, went to Everton, never for some reason got any opportunity at Everton, had a really good loan at Bristol, and Plymouth snapped him up. And he's a good player. So, he can be the leader in that defence. Brendan Galloway's there as well. He came through the Everton Academy. Ballymumba's there. He's decent. Like, they've got a solid enough defence if Rooney can coach them to be that. Plymouth, Josh Murphy in, Jordan Williams in from Barnsley on a free. That's a good one. And Jordan Archer in from QPR on a free. Ruben Swan arrives from Sudbury. And Sam Silvera is in on loan from Middlesbrough. Going out, Joe Rafferty on a free to Rotherham. Sean Raggett on a free to Rotherham. Matt Macy on a free to Colchester. Lee Evans, Josh Martin, Ryan Schofield, Haji Naga, Harry Jewett-White, Liam Vincent, Josh Dockerell, and... Sorry, that's the group. They're all without a club now, all out of contract. Nobody arriving at Preston. Lewis Lee has left for Bromley, Greg Cunningham, Alan Brown, Ben Woodburn, formerly of Liverpool, all without a contract now. Ben Woodburn broke through at Liverpool at 60. I think he's still Liverpool's youngest ever goal scorer. Looked like he was going to be the next big thing, and just hasn't really become anything, unfortunately. Talented player, but, loan at Sheffield United didn't go well. Loan at Oxford was okay. Loan at Blackpool didn't go well. Had a good loan with Hearts, was let go to Preston on a permanent deal, and lost his place in the team, I think, last season, and is on his way out the door. Who's up next then? Sheffield United. So Max Lowe, no incomings thus far. Max Lowe gone to Sheffield Wednesday on a free. Wes Fothering to West Ham on a free. Ben Osborne to Derby on a free. George Baldock to Panathinaikos on a free. Ollie McBurney, Chris Basham, Jordan Amisa, Ollie Norwood, John Egan, and Daniel Jebison currently without a club. They need to get their act together soon. Sheffield Wednesday, we get the Sheffield Derby next season, 2 of them, which is just fantastic. They bring in Max Lowe on a free. Ben Hammer arrives on a free from Watford. Svante Ingelsson arrives on a free from Hansa Rostock. Jamal Lowe arrives on a free from Bournemouth. That's quite a good pickup for them. And they get Jan Valery, who's a homegrown right back who came through at Southampton. Has been at Angers the last couple of years. He's a decent player. Tariq Backinson goes to Wickham on a free. Lee Gregory goes to Mansfield on a free. Kieran Brennan goes to Newport on a free. Cameron Dawson and Reece James both go to Rotherham on frees. Juan Delgado's released. Will Vaux goes to Oxford on a free. George Byers was released as well. Stoke. Eric Junior Bocat, a French-Senegalese left-back from St. Trident. He arrives for £1 million. Victor Johansson from Rotherham in for about the same. Ben Gibson on a free. Ian Wright's grandson, DiMarzio Wright-Phillips. He's gone. Kieran Clark is gone. Tom Edwards is gone. Therese Campbell's another talented one. Wesley Morass. Owen Blondie, Noku, he's also gone. All the contracts expired and no club waiting to sign them. Sunderland brought in Simon Moore on a free, experienced goalkeeper. And that's it. Jack Diamond left for Stockport, Nathan Bishop for Wickham, Alex Bass for Notts County, all on frees. Bradley Dack, Alice Taylor and Corey Evans' contracts expired. Ji Sung Young signed for Swansea. That is a South Korean left winger for £1 million. They lost Albetta to Plymouth on a free. Liam Walsh and Placheda were released when their contracts expired, and Jerry Yates has gone on loan to Derby. Watford, always an interesting one. So Mamadou Doumbia, who is a Malian centre forward, comes in from Black Stars in Mali, 18 years of age. Wouldn't expect to see much of him in the next year or two. But Jonathan Bond comes in. He'd been without a club for a while. Ismail Akone is gone. Ben Hammer, he's gone to Marseille for 12 million. Ben Hammer, Sheffield United. Ashley Fletcher to Blackpool. Jake Livermore is without a club. Matthias Martins leaves to go back to Udinese at the end of his loan. I do wonder if they'll try and re-sign him. And finally, West Brom. Ousmane Diakate, brought in from TSV Hartberg. He is a Malian defensive midfielder, and he was signed on a free. Zach Ashworth left for Blackpool on a free. Nathaniel Chalaba, Eric Peters, Yalan Villa, Martin Kelly, Adam Reach, and Matt Phillips. Contracts expired on all of them, and none of them have been retained. And there we go. That is us up to date on what the comings and goings of the Championship have been, as well as the managerial situations in the Championship, League One and League Two. We'll be back after this. Right, welcome back. So Ivan Toney says he is annoyed at his lack of playing time at Euro 2024 thus far, but says he will take his opportunity when he gets it. And to be fair, came off the bench against Slovakia and did make a significant contribution to the win. So fair play to him. UEFA are investigating Mary Demirel over his goal celebration against Austria. He celebrated with the Wolf salute, a gesture associated with far-right extremist group, the Grey Wolves, that are linked to Turkey's ruling coalition party, the National Movement Party. Demirel said the salute, which is banned in Austria and France, was pre-planned in case he scored. I'm very proud because I'm a Turk. Therefore, after the goal, I felt it deeply and I wanted to do it. I had the celebration in my mind, and I'm very happy about doing it. Mary Demirel has a history of making very, very questionable statements and being a terrible set of lads. So, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Fulham's Palhinha set to join Bayern for 43.2 million. Plus 4.2 million add-ons. I think that's a really good deal for Bayern. They've obviously chased him now for a year. It's clear he wanted to go there. Bayern have been desperate for a defensive midfielder, and now it looks like they've landed one in João Palhinha. It's a shame for the Premier League to lose such a good player, but it is what it is, and he was always going to join a top club. Everton have completed the signing of Iliman Ndiaye for a fee in the region of 15 million from Marseille. Obviously joined Marseille last summer for nearly 20 million after a great year in the Championship with 14 goals and 11 assists. His time with Marseille was not great. He struggled to really fit in. They struggled to figure out how to use him. But he is a very talented player, and I think it's a good get for the Ev. Chelsea are set to sign Lucy Bronze. Obviously, her contract had expired and she left Barcelona, and now it looks like she is going to sign a 2-year contract with an option for a 3rd year with Chelsea. So fair play. And that is that. So let's go to the gossip. The first thing I see here is Real Madrid want Guehi. I mean, possible. They do want a centre-back. They probably need 2, but we'll see. Real Madrid want Marc Guehi, Barcelona and Juventus also keeping tabs. Arsenal have moved ahead of Juventus in the pursuit of Ricardo Calafiori. Newcastle are interested in Anthony Elanga. I think Forest will keep him. Matthias de Ligt is interested in a move to Manchester United. Bayern value him at 42.4 million, 50 million euros. He's still only 24, but it hasn't been great since he left Ajax. PSG have inquired about Crescencio Somerville. Sounds like his agent is working overtime. Brighton are interested in 24-year-old Netherlands midfielder Mats Wiefer and 26-year-old Romanian defender Andre Ritu, who is at Rayo Vallecano. He's the blue-haired one. If you've been watching Romania in the Euros, he's the blue-haired right back. And he would make sense for them. To be fair, he would fit well at right back for them. He can also play right side of the back three. Manchester United have made a move to sign Joshua Zirkzee, but AC Milan have agreed personal terms with him. Okay, Manchester City are set to sign Savio from City Football Group side Troyes. Chelsea have agreed a £40 million fee for 19-year-old Argentine defender Aaron Anselmino. West Ham have had a £35 million bid rejected for Jean-Claude Todibo. That'd be a really good signing for them. If they could land him, that would be a huge deal. He's really good. Borussia Dortmund will make a move for Pierre-Emile Højbjerg if they fail in their attempts to sign Pascal Gross. Manchester United are willing to listen to offers for Harry Maguire. Tottenham are considering a move for Desiree Doué of Rennes, as are Bayern apparently, so we'll wait and see. Swansea defender Nathan Wood is set to have a medical at Southampton after the club's agreed a £5 million fee. Phil Coutinho is set to leave Aston Villa this week to join Vasco da Gama. Manchester United have not ruled out letting Marcus Rashford leave this summer. Burnley are set to appoint Scotty Two-Coats. Wolves are monitoring Arthur Melo. No, that would not make sense for them at all. No. Not in a Gary O'Neill midfield. West Ham are interested in Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who has less than 12 months left on his contract. If David Moyes was still the manager, I'd be inclined to believe that. Given he's not, I don't. The final thing I want to just mention here is a report that Manchester United are set to cut 250 jobs as part of a determination to slash costs and scrap some non-essential activities. United director Sir Dave Brailsford has led a wide-ranging review of the club's operations since Ineos bought into the club in December. Sir Jim Ratcliffe has told staff of his desire for them to return to working from club premises. So a lot of people have obviously been working from home. However, club sources say that financially significant transformation is required to halt the steepling rise in year-on-year costs. The review has concluded structure-wise, the size and shape of the club does not reflect the current football performance, and they have more staff than they need. Sources say cost savings have been identified around non-essential activities which are to cease. It is yet to be clarified what these activities are, but the aim is to reduce headcount and employee costs. United currently have 1,150 full-time members of staff. That does seem like an awful lot. Interim Chief Executive Jean-Claude Blanc delivered news of the cuts at an all-staff meeting with around 800 people present. I'd imagine the 250 might come from the 350 who weren't there. The move is bound to be greeted negatively, with many pointing out poor recruitment and the first team wasted far more money than will be saved by cutting the rank and file, which is absolutely accurate. 2 years ago, former Chief Executive Richard Arnold was filmed telling a group of fans that United had burned through $1 billion on players to achieve very little. United last won the Premier League title in 2012-13. In the intervening period, they've spent $1.5 billion on new players, very few of whom have proved to be good value. The club have had a $35 million bid for Jared Brantwaite turned down. It was actually laughed at. In addition, United have committed $50 million to the development of Carrington. which in the short term has led to the women's team vacating the new facility constructed for them so it can be used by Eric Ten Hag's team. Well, that seems a little bit odd. United said Ratcliffe said in a recent interview that with Bloomberg, that it had been an interesting 6 months since he bought into the club, and it was not going to be a short journey to put United on the right path. This is what I've been saying. They're not going to spend big money. They're going to try and work around the margins. And I really think United fans are in for a bit of a rude awakening here. 250 staff, that's a lot. That's a lot of people about to lose their jobs, and that's never a good thing. I'll see you tomorrow, folks. Bye-bye.
Sports Social Podcast Network.